Stacy, and this is Powerhouse Chat. Today I'm going to be interviewing America's Barber Coach, also known as Lamont Brown. He is a licensed barber educator, he's a mentor, he's an author, and so much more. Keep on watching, you can find out so much more about Lamont. There's two parts, so make sure you stay tuned for part one and part two. I'll see you on the inside. I always like to start off with your journey and where you got started. How did you get to where you are now? What's your story? I'd love to hear your story.
Man, how much time you got? You know what? When I'm reminded every day that you don't have to be great to start, but you got to start to be great, right? And my start began in elementary school, actually, when my hair kept getting messed up by these barbers, and it was a little hard to deal with because the first time that I got my hair cut was in the fourth grade.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I was born with a cancerous tumor in my stomach,
Oh, wow.
in my abdomen area. Um, it was removed, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
successfully, and after all the treatments and everything took place, my hair began to grow back, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my mom looked at it as my strength, like that was
Mm-hmm.
my Samson, like
Yeah.
Samson had his strength with his hair. So she didn't ever want to cut it. But back then, I'm a '70s baby, and it wasn't popular to have long hair back then. I was getting called all kinds of names,
Yeah, it
right?
wasn't.
You know, and the only highlight that I had was it was a few little girls. So when I wet my hair,
Your
I
hair would
got
curl.
curly like Michael
Mm-hmm.
Jackson. They were like, "Oh, you look so cute, look like Michael Jackson." You know, so I got a couple girlfriends out the deal, but I had, that was short lived because the barbers messed my hair up.
Yeah.
So I saved up my allowance, and eventually started cutting my own hair. It grew back. I started cutting like sixth grade, seventh grade. And when people started asking me, you know, hey, who cut your hair? I was saying I cut my own hair, right? And and I had to prove it to them. I had to say, hey, come over to the crib so I can show you that it's me. So when I showed them, they went back to school in eighth grade telling everybody, like, man, LB cut his own hair. He played more than just baseball. He cut his own hair. And that trickled over. I cut a lot of people's hair for eighth grade graduation. It rolled over to high school, and that's when I began to draw in people's heads, put letters, and that's what
Mm-hmm.
I was known for. And when I think back, even right now, in third and fourth grade, second, third, and fourth grade, I was like the number one artist in the school. I thought I was gonna be a painter or something like that. I was getting down. I eventually became an artist as a barber because one of our first names was actually called tonsurial artist, artist of the head.
Okay.
So we kind of went full circle, and as you heard me say that I was known for baseball. I went to college playing baseball, and I played at Grambling State University. I played at Triton College out there in River Grove, Illinois. And once I tore my knee up, unfortunately, the end of my little professional baseball dreams. I'm like, man, what I'm gonna do? I've been dreaming that I was gonna be a professional baseball player my whole life. I
Mm-hmm.
was I was the man, and my friends are like, what you think? You gonna cut hair? You've been cutting our hair since seventh grade. I'm like, all right, like, yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let me do that until I figure out what else I'm gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what happened. And 23 years later, I'm still a licensed barber. Uh, I became a licensed barber teacher as well. I've taught at a couple of different barber schools, and and the rest is kind of history,
Mm-hmm.
his story, which is my story. And
Mm-hmm.
and I remember a quote by Bill Cosby. He said, "History will be kind to me because I will write it." You have to
Mm-hmm.
write your own history. And that's what I'm doing, and I ain't stopping.
I like that. What advice would you give someone that's just starting out, trying to be a barber? Like they just graduated high school and they're in barber school. What kind of advice would you give them?
Well, I'll try to. Well, I'll share with them what I share with a lot of my students that I've taught when I taught at Paul Mitchell Hair School back in Illinois, the Paul Mitchell Hair School in Tinley Park, as well as the Paul Mitchell Hair School in Bourbonnais, Illinois, and barber school here. I was just recently telling those students the same thing I would tell anybody else that was thinking about it. I'll ask them, "What is your why?
Mm-hmm.
Why are you doing this?" And it can't be the answer can't have anything to do with money.
Mm-hmm.
It can't have anything to do with anything that's materialistic. Barbering saved my life because, and I'm explaining what my why is, my initial why,
Mm-hmm.
and it saved my life because I was arrested over 20 times, had a couple of felonies, and I didn't think I would be able to get a legitimate job, making any significant amount of money, especially not over 100K with some felonies. That's what I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have, of course, I didn't have the mature entrepreneur mind that I have now, but that was my why. I said I needed to take control of my life, you know, and that just seemed like the profession to do it, and where I wouldn't have any excuses, because excuses are tools for incompetent fools that builds monuments of nothingness, and
Mm-hmm.
those who use excuses are seldom good for nothing but excuses. So I didn't want to make excuses on why I couldn't succeed in life, with
Mm-hmm.
two felonies.
Yeah.
So that was my why. So I would tell them, hey, find your why. And if your why don't make you cry, then it ain't big enough. Some people whys may be to buy their mother a home, or buy their dad a
Mm-hmm.
home, or something like that, or buy their grandmother a house who never had a house. You know. It, okay, cool. Some people why may be to send their mother on a trip.
Mm-hmm.
Something that's dear to their heart, that not necessarily connected to them. Because I say, if you don't establish your why, you're not gonna last long in this industry. Because when things get hard, things get tough, when life hits you from the blind side and you want to quit, it's whatever your why is what's gonna
Mm-hmm.
keep you in the game. That's what's gonna keep you in the game. But if you don't have no why you actually doing this, that's separate from you, kind of, you can maybe think about doing something else.
Yeah. Do you think passion is enough? Like if somebody said it passion, do you think that's enough? Enough of a
Passionate
why?
enough. You know, passionate enough. Because I've seen people quit when they parents died, or their
Mm-hmm.
best friend died, or their child died, or got kidnapped, or their daughter got raped, or they got stricken with MS, lupus, uh, discovered breast cancer, prostate cancer. Life gonna come some kind of
Mm-hmm.
way. I remember breaking my leg in 12 different places.
Mm.
I didn't let that stop me.
Yeah.
In a car accident, I was in a car accident on 294 out there in Illinois. Passionate enough because I've seen people be passionate about something, but when life hits you a certain kind of way,
Yeah.
it might be a divorce. It might be a divorce. Your job might have fired you after 15 years. You
Yeah.
might have went in business with somebody for 12 years, and then they beat you out of it. You lost some
Yeah.
kind of way. You gonna let that stop you? My best friend died. We started cutting hair in the basement together. We
Mm-hmm.
opened up 2 barbershops together. We had big dreams about even a mobile barbershop business. But he died at the age of 35 from an asthma attack.
Mm.
What?
Mm.
So I gave my clippers away. I said I was done cutting.
Yeah, that hurt you,
You
I'm
see what I'm
sure.
saying? And I was passionate about it. I said I'm gonna just do motivational speaking. I'm through cutting. I can't go forward without my boy.
Yeah.
You know. But I had to dig deep and really remember what my why was. And my
Yep.
why had grew. You know.
Yeah.
So, he had kids. He had a few boys, daughters. And I said, you know what? We thought about having this mobile barbershop together. I'm still gonna do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I'm gonna name it after him. And I called it, his nickname was Showtime. So I called it Showtime Cuts on Wheels. And I
Okay.
used his body shape as the silhouette for the I, for the letter I. And that's what we put on the side of my first mobile barber shop.
Okay.
So passion didn't keep me in the game.
Yeah.
My why did.
Yeah. How do you deal with adversities in your life?
Man, woo. The thing that got me through adversity, a lot of adversities. The number one was my mom. She was my first inspiration because I watched her deal with a drug addiction when I was in junior high school.
Mm.
That was, I guess, the catalyst to the divorce of her and my stepdad. And I saw her fight to get her life back and go through rehab and all that, get 2, 3 jobs to take care of all three of us. So every time, even when I played baseball, she gave me a card that said "Don't quit," and it was like a little poem.
Mm-hmm.
And I played with that card in my back pocket. And every time life got hard, and I dealt with certain kind of adversity, and I thought about quitting and giving up, I thought about my mom. I said, she ain't quit, she ain't
Mm-hmm.
give up, and she a female, and I'm a man. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, how could I?
Yeah.
How could I give up? That was the initial reasons why I didn't quit and deal with adversity where I did. And the other thing was I started reading a lot of books. My mentor was referring different books to me, whether it was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, whether it was books by Dr. Robert Schuller, who said that I would rather attempt to do something great and fail than to attempt to do nothing and succeed. It was a lot of books I wrote, The Millionaire Next Door, Who Moved My Cheese, a lot of Robert Kiyosaki books. And what I discovered in a lot of them books was that on their way to wealth or success, they experienced some adversities.
Mm-hmm.
As a matter of fact, it's a story in a book. You have to check it out um, um, if you haven't already done so. In the book Think and Grow Rich, it's a story that's called 3 Feet from Gold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and this man stopped digging for gold. He was digging for gold for years,
Mm-hmm.
and he just got invested a lot of money to this digging, and he just got so frustrated one day, and he just got off the machine, said, I'm selling all this, I'm done, I'm through. And he sold it to this guy for little or nothing. The guy, after a couple months, got on the machine himself and hit power and dug 3 more feet and ore and struck ore.
Yeah.
A lot of times we be right
Right there.
right before our breakthrough,
Right there. Mm-hmm.
and we give up. And
Yeah.
I read stories like I read how the average millionaire tries 17 different things before they make their first million.
Mm-hmm.
And they went through certain things, divorce and different life, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we try 1 or 2 things, we fail, and then we go run back to our comfort zone and then complain for the rest of our life until we die.
Are there any points in your life where a person, place, or event made a really huge positive impact on your life? Like a
Yeah,
moment. Okay.
yeah. I thought of several when you was asking me that, but my mind went back to at least definitely mention the very first one that really I think was a mental paradigm shift that took
Mm-hmm.
place. Um, and that was in March of 1998. I drove to North Carolina to hear Tony Robbins speak,
Oh,
and it just changed my life
I'm
completely,
sure.
completely. And out of everything I heard him say that weekend, now remember this back in 1998, and I still remember the single line that he spoke that changed my life. He stood up there with that microphone coming around his ear. He was telling a story, bam, 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 bam. And when he stood up, and it seemed like he looked at all 4,000 of us at the exact same time, and stared us in the eyes and said, when things become an absolute must, and he hit his chest, said, human beings do extraordinary things. And I was like, he said it with so much impact. And the story he followed it with, he said this lady, child got hit and ran over by a car. And she ran to the car, screaming and yelling, my baby, my baby, my baby. And the baby crying. And she lifted the back of the car up.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And the baby, her baby got up out of there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotta
And
do
I
what
think
you
the
gotta
baby
do.
was 2 or 3 or 4, something real young, single digits, single digit age. And he said, when asked later, can she live a car? She said she laughed and she said, I actually tried and couldn't.
Yeah.
So when things become an absolute must, human beings do extraordinary things. So it's like when you hit that time in your life where you just got you can't quit, you can't give up, you don't know how you're gonna get the resources, how you're gonna do this. When it becomes an absolute must, you're gonna do some extraordinary things to make that happen. And that's what I did coming out of the conference. That was powerful.
That changed
You
your
know,
life.
yeah, that changed it. And that path led to me meeting Les Brown,
Oh, cool.
who I ended up cutting his hair, and he trained me to speak. He put me on stage with him in front of hundreds and thousands of people, and people was asking me to write a book, which led to me writing 2 books. So that was powerful. That was powerful.
Nice.
That's
That's
just
good.
2 moments, out of
Yeah.
probably 30.
Yeah. Are there any moments that made like a big impact on you when you were younger? Like something that like inspired you to want to be different, be better, or something when you were a child, like somebody did something.
Yeah, yeah. My friend, I was just talking about my friend Corey Curtis. He's a business coach now, but he did acting his whole life. I've been knowing him since 6th grade. I mean, I'm sorry, since 6 years old. We played t-ball together, uh, little league together, high school baseball together. I was the shortstop. He was the second baseman, and he was making Michael Jackson commercials back then. He was on the cover of Ebony magazine. He was on uh, uh, an ABC special movie called what was it? The Howard Beach Story, making a case for murder. And and when we were young in elementary school and in junior high school and in high school, his parents used to take me to their company picnics, right?
Mm-hmm.
To be with Corey. I was his friend. And we used to ride through neighborhoods, $1 million homes and stuff like that. And coming from Allgale Gardens in Chicago, one of the projects out there in Chicago, and then moving to Harvey, going through them type of communities I was like, wow. And then I'm seeing black folks walk out of houses, walk in the driveway to their cars. I'm like, wow. I ain't think it was real possible like that. That I saw that on TV when we was watching the Cosby Show and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So I knew from those experiences that it was possible.
Mm-hmm.
That it was possible, you know. And that same friend of mine went on I don't know if you remember the Parkers and Moesha and all them TV shows back then, but Corey was on all that. And matter
He
of fact,
was acting or cutting.
yeah,
Oh,
he
okay.
was acting.
Okay,
He got
gotcha.
his engineering degree
I'm like
at
that
North Carolina
name.
A&T.
That name sounds familiar. I'm trying to think if I know who you're talking about.
Uh-huh. Yeah,
Okay.
he did a lot of stuff, right? He graduated from North Carolina A&T with his engineering degree, and said, "Mom, I know we got a family of engineers, and this is why you got to pursue your dreams. I don't care what it is. I don't care how much pressure you're getting from your family members or your friends that you should do this or do that. Do what you love, and the money will follow you. You only have to chase
Absolutely.
it,
Mm-hmm.
you know." And Corey told his mom, said, "I know we got, I'm an engineer. I got my degree, but I love acting." And he got in his car and drove from North Carolina to California
Woo.
and was looking for a roommate. Looking for a roommate. Catch this. Uh, and his roommate, who was also an aspiring actor
Actor.
that the whole country probably know today, uh, was Omari Hardwick,
Ooh, okay.
aka Ghost, off from Power.
I'm a
So
fan.
yeah. So
No,
hey,
exactly. Yeah.
I can say with no hesitation that Ghost been to my house in Riverdale, Illinois. Back 20 something years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've been knowing him for a while, and that's only because he was in Corey's wedding, and I was Corey's best man, and we had the bachelor party at my house. You know,
Mm-hmm.
um, but this is before before they blew up, and he reached out to me. Since he's been on Power, just congratulate me on what I'm doing in the industry. But that's why you got to pursue your dreams and goals. That's Corey. Corey left and pursued his dreams and his goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and they accomplished that.
You kind of brought me into a question that I was going to ask you. You're talking a lot about relationships. A lot about relationships. Can you talk about the importance of like having relationships and enriching those relationships and why people should network and things like that? Can you talk about that? Because a lot of people, like a lot of young people, don't understand the importance of that. So I love if you talk about that because a lot of things that you have talked about kind of wrung me to that question, which I was going to ask
Yeah,
anyway. Yep.
absolutely. So I mean that. Yeah, you're welcome. You can't. I just posted something on social media about 3 or 4 days ago, and it said, "Can you grab me? Can you grab me something?" Um, you can go fast alone,
Oh yeah, I saw that. I saw that. I saw that. Yeah.
uh, but we can go far together.
Mhm.
Okay, Les Brown and other mentors I've had and books I've read. It talks about the power of relationships and the power of two. Actually, I was just listening to Eric Thomas, and I'm trying to get the name of this animal. I think it was a big animal. Oh my goodness, it's gonna come to me. But and if it don't, you can do your research. The people who watching, y'all can do y'all research on this story. But alone, this animal is able to pull 7,000 pounds by itself, right? 7,000 pounds, and with another animal, the same type of animal. Hey, I wish I know it's not a not a
A
rhinoceros.
bison? Maybe a bison?
Damn,
No.
a rhinoceros. Not no, it ain't that. But anyway, two of them
I
can
can't.
pull 15,000 pounds. One can pull 7,000 pounds by himself. Two can pull 15,000 pounds together. Right, so that's an extra 1,000 pounds, right? That you can pull together. But check this
Mhm.
out. When you train them together, when they're trained together, we're talking about relationship. When they train together, when you're learning together and growing together, them two animals, when you train them together, they can pull 24,000 pounds
Mhm.
together when you train them together. So when you talk about relationships and how important they are together, together,
Mhm.
you can do some extraordinary things.
Mhm.
And when you train together, when you're learning together, and you're maturing together, and you're growing together, you know, you can do some extraordinary things.
Mhm.
From pulling 7,000 pounds, from pulling 15,000 pounds together, to being able to pull 24,000 pounds together.
Mhm. So I would say this is important. So a lot of the younger generation, and some people in general. We talk about the power of relationships. Um, how would you talk to the younger generation or people that are still competitive in their field? Like they're instead of partnering and collaborating, they're competitive. Like what advice would you give them to stop being competitive and to collaborate with their peers, and why
Mhm.
that's important?
You know, in the book, so I'm thinking about this book called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People,
Mm-hmm.
and it talks about, you know, it talks about win-win situations. It talks about that there's enough money out here
Mm-hmm.
for everybody. So it's okay to be competitive. Uh, Keep that competitive edge, but don't try to be competitive alone. Build you a team.
Yeah.
You know, work together. Be competitive in the industry. You know, with your competitors, so to say. But we don't have to compete with each other just to
Mm-hmm.
compete, just off some selfishness, or, you know, just because I want to see me, you know, succeed and you not. You
Mm-hmm.
know, not with that kind of energy.
Yeah.
You know, but with the type of energy to say, you know what, it's a McDonald's right there on that corner. They making that franchise or that corporately owned McDonald's is making millions a year, right? Maybe 1 or 2 million or whatever a year. And guess what? It's a Burger King right across the street on the other corner, and
Mm-hmm.
that franchise or corporately owned store is making their 2 or 3 million a year right across the street. Are they competitors? Yeah, but it's something that's called friendly competition too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's enough money out here for everybody. When I was launching my mobile barbershop in Illinois, I was putting anybody on game that wanted the game.
Yeah.
And they was asking me, they said, man, why are you sharing all this information with us? Don't you know I'm gonna be your competitor? I said, first of all, I have no competition. I don't have no competition because ain't nobody on my level. I said, but I will never uh, express that in a spiteful type of way, or, you know, trying to tear somebody down to build myself up. I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm putting you up on game because since it ain't no competition to me, I know that it's enough money out there for everybody. So if I'm showing you how to get your mobile barbershop up and running, I'm talking about I'm showing them my books, showing them my
Mm-hmm.
numbers, how much I'm making daily, weekly, showing them to not register their business in Illinois, but to register it in Indiana because it's cheaper. And at the time, the Illinois laws was developing mobile business laws with mobile with the food truck industry booming. They was taxing a lot of Illinois. But I
Mm-hmm.
say, register your business in Indiana. You can still do business across state line, and you saving money.
Mm-hmm.
You know, especially when they wanted you to register your business in almost every, in Illinois wanted you to register your business in every city you was doing business in. You know, that can get expensive. You trying to register your business in Tinley Park, Calumet City, Harvey, Dalton, Riverdale, Linwood, Glenwood, you know, all the suburbs, and Joliet, and Naperville, and Schaumburg, and Streamwood. You get
Mm-hmm.
the picture. You know, no, go to Indiana, but a lot of them didn't. So they either wasn't registering their business at all, and they was on some sneak stuff with their mobile, or they was just paying a lot of money that they never really got off the ground.
Yeah.
So I always believe, you know, we can create win-win situations, and where everybody can win. And I'm gonna end with this story because it made so much impact in my life and in my friend's life, mainly in his life, because he would always say, "Hey, ALB," you know, he called me LB. ALB,
Uh-oh.
I'm still with you.
Repeat it, because you went out for a second.
Okay. He was saying, ALB, I see you blowing up. Man, you doing big things. I see you doing some big things out there. He said, man, he said, don't forget about us little people. I'm like, I'm like, hold on. And he was a pastor. I said, hold on. You know, I ain't gonna call him out right now, but I was like, hold on, pastor. I said, did you say little people? I said, why would you look down on yourself like that
Yeah.
and say us little people? I said, if I'm blowing up like you say I am, well, let's blow up together. I said, because, it's lonely at the top. It's crowded at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So let's blow up together. I get tired of, going. I got, years ago when I was doing a lot of vacation, I got tired of vacation and going to other countries and, going to other islands, by myself or with my ex-wife. I'm like, man, I want to kick it with some friends out here, but wasn't nobody really,
Yeah.
on that like that. So I'd rather you come up with me so we can have some fun together.
Yeah.
Don't be looking down on yourself to us little people. That's a
Yeah.
problem right there
Mhm.
with that kind
And
of mindset.
yeah, the energy you put out is important. Like if you put out that jealous, competitive energy, you don't get. Yeah.
That never the youth, and I get it. It's a lot. It's the music industry. It's a lot of competitiveness going on out here,
Yeah.
and I get it. But you don't have to tear somebody else down to build yourself up.
Yeah.
You can you'll do better building yourself up by building up others.
Mhm.
You see what I mean?
Mhm.
You'll grow faster building other people up. One of my mentors said, you know, uh, don't focus on the harvest you reap, but focus on the seeds that you sow.
Mhm.
And then, what I'm saying? You sow seeds and plant seeds in people's lives. He said, you help enough people get to where they going, you'll get to where you going by default.
Whew, I
Because
like that.
because because that's the kind of energy that you putting out in the world, and it's gonna come back to you.
I like that.
It has to.
It's like you're farming. You're farming.
Exactly. You
You're
farming, you
creating
planting,
a
you growing,
farm.
you creating.
You're
Yeah.
creating a farm. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
Yeah. And I want to share this too, because these young people might not have a lot of positiveness or encouragement around them, because by the age of 16, the average person by the age of 16 hears 100,000 negative things, either spoken to them by others or spoken to them by themselves. That
Yeah.
negative self-talk, right?
Yeah.
But they hear on an average of 1,000 positive things by the age of 16. So you might be in a place or a space or in a household or in a community where it's dark or it's a lot of dirt, right? But guess what? Dirty water never stops flowers from growing.
Woo.
You know what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
can still grow, baby, in dirty water. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying?